The big firm environment has, I guess, three things that most define it, okay? Number one is it's where you make the most money. You make obscene amounts of money. Big firm lawyers will always hasten to tell me when I go give speeches that they're not really that rich, right? They're making $700,000 or $800,000 a year, but that's not a lot of money. The reason they think that is because they spend their time working for people who really, really are rich, who have hundreds of millions of dollars. So big firm lawyers don't feel rich, but they are. They make tons of money. So that's number one, you make tons of money. Number two is you work horrendous hours. And this is where the self-deception of our profession is most apparent when you hear big firm lawyers or people who want to be big firm lawyers arguing that they don't really work all that many hours. That's just nonsense. To give you some sense of this, when I was in law school in the mid-'80s, we students would have conversations with each other where we would say things like, you know, don't go to Williams and Connolly. It's a sweatshop. You have to bill 2,000 hours there. Now, if you were to say that today, you would sound like Dr. Evil in the Austin Powers movie when he threatens to blow up the world unless he's paid $1 million, right? 2,000 hours is today a minimum. It's not even the average in big firms. It's sort of the minimum you need not to get kicked out the door. Now, what does it tell you about a segment of our profession when what used to be considered a mark of mental illness is now the minimum? At a minimum, you need to be mentally ill to succeed. You got to go beyond that, but you know that's 15 or 20 years. That's not a large time. This 2,000-hour threshold that used to be considered workaholism, sickness, something wrong with you, is now as normal as the coffee machine or the Xerox machine. I mean, it's really remarkable. I billed 2,000 hours once in my career. I billed it honestly. Those were actual billed hours, and it almost killed me. It was exhausting. And yet we have lawyers in big firms now, lots of them, hundreds of them, routinely billing 2,300, 2,400, 2,500 hours a year. I mean, it's sick. It's absolutely sick. So, money, hours, and the work you do is for rich people and rich corporations. They're the only ones that can afford you. The third salient factor in big firm practice is you are mainly going to work helping very wealthy corporations and people either get more wealth or keep their wealth. There's nothing immoral about that. I'm just stating a fact. That's what you do. If that isn't what you want to spend your life doing, then a big firm is not where you should go practice.
A big private law firm is like the law school itself, a large bureaucratic institution that does not love the law student for his distinct qualities. They don't have time for it and they don't care. What they want to know is this a law student who took core law classes and got high grades? And they will treat them in the non-personal way that you would treat someone selected through that process.
There's always been firms that were considered the best or the prizes, but I think what defined the prizes has changed from the firm that had the best people doing the best work to the firm that's writing the biggest check. What's a new phenomenon of the 80s and the 90s, the last 20 years or so, is this obsession with money, is this every year the American Lawyer and the National Law Journal reporting, starting salaries, bonuses, and these websites and these discussion groups where students obsess over whether the starting bonus at one firm is $30,000 versus $25,000, and that sort of narrow focus. Today, students almost don't care about the other stuff. One New York firm versus another, they don't explore, who has more interesting work or who has more mentoring. They look at what the starting salary is, and that has changed.